So things are starting to unravel, and it's pretty eye-opening to see what's occurring and the chain of events, one leading up to another, and all of them connecting. And if you haven't really been paying attention, you can join me on Facebook, and I post a lot of Ukraine stuff, but I also post a lot of protests and a lot of gun violence that is occurring not only here in the U.S., but also globally as well. And the interesting thing is, you see Israel starting to protest. You're seeing places like Iran starting to protest over food. And then also here in the U.S., people are starting to get upset because there's not food. Baby formula has been a shortage. So to see these things sort of transpire in connection to, first off, the Ukraine and Russia war, something that is, we're seeing the consequences of Russia's actions, but our actions as well. And I'm only saying this from the standpoint is that this has been something that has been transpiring over decades. And I can only connect this to a lot of things that experiencing. He said that there's going to be a new world order, right? And many people who believe in the new world order scenario, basically, if you don't know what that is, it's a one world government, and someone is going to take over the entire population of the globe and control them. And personally, this is my belief in it, is that basically the government will watch what you do every single day of your life, like China, and sort of their control and technology and being able to monitor their civilians on a daily basis. They have class structures, and based on your class structures, you're allowed to go to certain places. And that's what I think society will lead towards. And that's how you're going to be able to have that one world order, and how we will get there. There's a lot of speculation on that, and I won't dive too deep into that. And if you want me to on another video, I'm more than happy to. But what I will say is that this has been built over decades, and I think that for me personally, it starts at the 2016 elections, where there was voter fraud. Supposedly Russia played a role into that. Now, regardless of it, China had a hand in it too. There could be, but then it continues on into the perception of a fraudulent election in this past election. And I think that Russia and China had an invested motive to instill that doubt, instill that fear within, I would say, the Republican mindset of the election was stolen. And to me, I think that this was only to cause distrust in democracy. The whole intent of distrust, and this is whether, regardless if you're Republican or Democrat, both parties are having little faith in the democratic process. And Russia and China want that. They want to destroy Western civilization. They want to destroy America. They want to destroy democracy. And that starts with the specific effort to make sure the people feel as if, one, voting and your voice is not being heard, which is through voting, and any bills and legislations that are passed. Then what you have on top of that is you have the Democratic Party trying to basically obliterate the Republican Party. And I can't even stress or fathom like how we got to this point. But anyone who on the Republican Party who believes in voter fraud, who believes in, Trump, you could say, is a terrorist, right? They're trying to destroy America. And that's exactly what Russia and China want. They want you to wage war within your own country, between yourself. That's how between both parties. If you're waging war and you're not unified on any sort of front, you're distracted, right? This is a typical method of, warfare, and in essence, destroy from within. And China and Russia are utilizing that to the maximum effectiveness. Now, I can't tell you and point to you exactly what China has done, what Russia has done. All we can see is sort of the smoke. We can see the smoke, and then we also can see, their messaging, what they have been doing. We talked about last time, Russia hacking into our systems, which is there. And so the byproducts of, propaganda, the byproducts of control in social media, and sort of their ability to influence and shape the public and we are not able to notice that. And what I will say is, I believe Black Lives Matter, right? Okay, I'm black, and that's just in essence. I'm not here for Republican or Democrat. I care less who is in office, right? Personally, it doesn't really affect me on a daily life, and I just don't think that my voice is going to be heard in it, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm more interested in the story behind it. I'll let everybody else determine what or who is in office. But what I will say is that BLM movement, Antifa, is all communist Marxism ideology. Now, I'm not here to tell people what to believe in. I'm not here to sort of cast or doubt on the ideology itself. But what I will say is it aligns with China and it aligns with Russia's mentality on approaching the government structure. And so what this sort of portrays is that an influence on communism in a democratic country like the United States, and mass protests around that. It's not also about Black Lives. That was a catalyst for them to drive off of, for them to sort of co-opt in a way and take control and use that movement to express their, I would say, ideology, and to get people used to it too, and to allow people to see, the effects of, how it could benefit you. And so when we're seeing all of these protests and stuff, it's all about communist Marxism and anarcho-capitalists, all these people who come together. And I talk to these people. Like, it's not like I come from a place of knowledge because I know these people, I know these groups, and they're all about mutual aid, and they're all about, equal income. And so I can't, personally, I'm not for, I would say, Marxism or communism. I think it's terrible. If you look at Karl Marx's life, and he didn't live what he preached. He actually also lived completely terrible, like impoverished, very poor. And so is his way about going about things work? Does it work? I believe no, but maybe there's a system that does, and maybe there's a way that we haven't tried. And, I'm not saying I'm not open-minded to that. I am. I'm open-minded. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that is what it is. Personally, I don't think capitalism works. I am a capitalist, and I believe in capitalism, but there's not these, and I believe in democracy. I don't think there's fail-safes. I think it's an imperfect system, unfortunately. And so maybe we will find a perfect system as we progress as a human species, and we have shown that through time, through history, because at the beginning, we usually had sort of dictatorships, kings, queens, monarchies, things like this. And so then we, understood that freedom was important. So then we started having more, I guess you could say, liberal, more democratic systems come into place where we could have those freedoms and have our voices heard. And through time, that slowly progressed to where we are now. Now, the majority of history is very fascist, and you can't say that we won't slip back there. People like to be told what to do. People like to have a sense of purpose, and usually it stems around one person or one government, and people like to be supported in a way. They don't like to work for what they have. And so it's very easy to fall back into that. In a very short amount of time has democracy been on the earth, and America is brought it about. But that's a short amount of time. And as we see, it's unraveling from within because of corruption. And the corruption stems from outside influences wanting to corrupt that base, wanting to come and destroy America internally. And I think that people, if they want to save democracy, you need to make sure that you're not destroying it yourself. You might have good intentions, and I'll tell you this: you might have good intention. I read this in a book. It's the 48 Laws of Power. Maybe you guys have heard of it, and it's by Robert Greene. If you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. But it talks about how even though you have good intentions, you can destroy yourself, right? Through those good intentions, you might consequences. And, the only thing that I can relate to this is when they brought up in the book the reasonings and justifications in killing Julius Caesar, right? Basically, the whole Senate stabbed this man to death. And their justification was because they thought he was going to instill a dictatorship, right? They thought that he was going to get rid of the Senate and, their say and their power. And so they were trying to save, right, the so-called way of governance, their sort of democracy in a way, and killed Julius Caesar. Now, what this did is got them the exact opposite of what they wanted, was to keep, the Senate intact. And instead of doing that, it instilled distrust within the population. It instilled anger within the population towards the people who killed Julius Caesar in cold blood, because he never had that intentions. In his writings, it actually speaks about where his mindset was, and he had anything. He didn't even have the intention to sort of get rid of the Senate and take full control. So, during a speech afterwards, basically they told the people this was the case. And when this happened, the people got mad and killed all of the people who killed Julius Caesar. And another dictator came into place, and I can't tell you the specific name, but another dictator came into place, and they got rid of the Senate. And so this is exactly what they try to prevent from happening. And so the same is applicable here. We're trying to prevent, America from dying. And I will attribute this to the right-wing party. They really are like, America's being taken over by communist Marxist terrorists. Okay, man. Well, we understand that that's a possibility, but the way you're going about it is going to destroy America from within, because what they're doing is they're trying to force their will in a blatant, open manner. They're not going and doing it subtly and figuring out the culprits and then isolating them and taking them away, right? But they're trying to do it by brute force, which usually is a surefire way to destroy yourself. And it's interesting to see that dynamic have a catalyst into everything else that's going on right now. Ukraine war is from imposing its will up to Russia's border. Russia was already not having it, and they said, hey, we're going to do what we need to do to protect our way of living. I'm not saying it's a right way of living, but I am saying that is their way of living, and they say they want to protect it, and they are. And now whether I would say we're right or not, I don't think it's up to me or you to say whether or not their way is, the right way or the wrong way of living. But, as far as their reasoning and rationality in their mind, it's justifiable in that sense. But it's not justifiable to kill innocent people. But how many innocent people have died in history throughout wars? Lots of people. And the U.S. is the biggest. So we're very hypocritical when it comes to this, right? We're the biggest, person to start pointing fingers in a way. Or Hiroshima, we nuked, hundreds of thousands of people died in an instant, right? And many more died afterwards. And that was, what was that from? That was because we didn't want to lose more of our citizens, more of our people, right? And this is the thing. We didn't want to lose more troops. And we decided, the best way to not do this is to kill Japanese people and make a statement and end the war that way. See, there's a logic that is wrong with this, right? In a way, because you're saying that your people's lives are more valuable than these innocent civilians. Like, the people who are in the military are one thing. Like, they signed up for this. Like, they signed up to go and fight, right? These that are civilians, they didn't sign up for this. They didn't sign up to fight. Some of them are very, they're just caught in between. They don't have a say. And especially in Japan. And so now you're going to go kill their people, the innocent people. I have a problem with that. And I think that's a unforgivable thing. But, and apply it the same to Ukraine, right? They think what they're doing is right. And nor am I here to say it is or isn't. But I am saying, as far as the rationality, the U.S. has been the same rationality as they are. And the only reason we are condemning it is because, rightfully so, people are dying. right? And people should have been condemning the bombing in Hiroshima. Now, this goes without saying. But as far as saying us being more morally erect than someone else, it's just untrue. I think that Russia is defending themselves, and with the new alliance with Sweden and NATO, go even crazier. And I think that they will do exactly what they have been saying. They will exact extreme measures like nuclear weapons or any other weapon of mass destruction to protect their sovereignty. And I think this was the final straw. And interesting enough, the leaders are not doing anything or trying to de-escalate the situation. It only seems that they're trying to poke the bear even more. They're trying to say, I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it. I bet you won't. And, I bet they will. And when it comes down to it, you only can poke somebody so far until they actually, strike back. And that's the scary part. Personally, maybe this is why I'm not a leader. I would not be escalating. I'd be de-escalating it. No one's joining NATO till this war is resolved. That's just how it is. There's no reason to have Sweden join now. No reason. Not a goddamn reason. You cannot justify that to me other than you just want to make Putin angry, because that was never a thing before. And basically, they got scared and they said, I want to join NATO for protection, right? Ukraine's not being protected. We need to be protected. And that's just how it's been working. And so maybe you guys can see what I'm talking about here. I'd be interested to hear what you think about this subject and about how history is playing out, and if there is some connection in what I am saying, or if I'm just crazy. But hopefully this and helps you get ready for what is to come, because there's going to be really hard times ahead, and I want you to be aware of what is transpiring, and I want you to be prepared for that, right? And that comes from, your family, and that comes to your loved ones as your friends and people you're romantically engaged with. That comes out of love from myself to you, because I think it's important we band together in times of need instead of going against each other. And I think this is one of the ways that I can do that for you. And hopefully, it doesn't come down to this dire circumstances that I am talking about. But it's better to be prepared than not prepared. It's better to know than not to know. So with that being said, please comment down below. Be interested in what you think about the subject, and I will see you at the next video.